So I'll start.
Yes.
Hi, good evening, everyone.
Good evening,
DTM
dear
model.
Toastmasters and
Good
guests.
evening.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are. Good evening, DTM College.
I am Toastmaster Sushma, your virtual Sergeant at Arms today. Welcome to Bahrain Distinguished Toastmasters meeting number 12. I would like to show you something. This is a pencil which I will sharpen it. Now the pencil is going to write very nicely. You must be wondering why I am saying this. We are same like pencils, and Toastmasters is like a sharpener, where we sharpen our leadership and communication skills. There are some ground rules to be followed during the meeting. Keep all the sound-making devices switched off or on silent mode. Do not talk about sex, religion, and politics. Please ensure you are logged in from only one device. Let us remind ourselves of Toastmasters' international core values, which are integrity, respect, service, and excellence. The mission of a Toastmasters Club is to provide a mutually supportive and positive learning environment in which every individual member has the opportunity to develop oral communication and leadership skills, which in turn foster self-confidence and personal growth. Today's theme is leader, dealer of hope. Yes, a true leader don't find faults, they find remedies. Please sit back, relax, enjoy, and have fun at our virtual meeting. Now, without further ado, I will call the person who will take this meeting further. By profession, he is an auditor, accountant, analyst, and advisor. He is a champion speaker. Please welcome our President, Distinguished Toastmaster Hisham Jeffrey.
Thank you very much, Madam Sergeant at Arms, Toastmaster Sushma. Thank you for that wonderful commencement of the meeting and that very warm introduction as well. Ladies and gentlemen, leaders and speakers, champions and to be champions, welcome to Bahrain Distinguished Toastmasters Club. It's such a pleasure to meet you after 1 month's time in this pleasant Saturday afternoon. So I hope you are looking forward to a wonderful meeting filled with exciting little tidbits. Let's get ourselves introduced to our guests, but before we do that, meeting is called to order. In the absence of our Toastmaster of the day for the moment, let us leave the adoption of the agenda till he has arrived. Let's get ourselves introduced to some of our guests. Toastmaster Gangadhar Rao, if you would introduce yourself to us, please.
Thank you, DTM Hisham Jeffrey. Myself, Toastmaster Gangadhar Rao, a permanent member of BITP, Bahrain IT Professional Toastmaster Club. Self-apprise, I will tell about myself, as well as acting as a mentor to the Bahrain Financial Club, headed by DTM Hisham Jeffrey. And today it's my pleasure attending this DTM club as an evaluator, with which I'm here to learn the evaluation process. I'm looking forward for a great meeting. Thank you. Back to DTM.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Gangadhar. Welcome to BDT, and it's a pleasure to have you with us as well. Let's also ask Toastmaster Manisha to introduce herself to us all the way from Sri Lanka. Toastmaster Manisha, a few words from you.
Good evening, Mr. President. I'm Toastmaster Manisha I'm a member of Sri Lanka Club Symposium. Also, I'm a member of Bahrain Finance Professionals. It's a great pleasure to be with you all, and I wish you all the best for this meeting. Back to you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Manisha, and welcome to BDT as well. Mr. Secretary, do we have the quorum for today?
Mr. President, yes, we do have the quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. And also, do we have any recorded apologies or excuses?
Mr. President, I have not received any recorded apologies.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary, DTM Faraz. I'll come back to you for the minutes. Yes,
I have received an
Khurram.
apology from DTM Roshan, who could not attend because a family relative passed away. Fortunately, so let's remember her in our prayers as well.
Thank you, DTM Khurram. And in a few minutes, let's observe a minute silence for the departed soul as well. Mr. Toastmaster of the Day, distinguished Toastmaster Jahangir Khan, any amendments to the agenda?
Mr. President, fellow Toastmasters, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
So far, I don't think so there is any changes in the final agenda which has been shared. Correct, Mr. VP Education?
That is correct.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster of the Day. Could someone propose to adopt the agenda?
I, Sushma Nitwa, propose to adopt the agenda.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sushma. Your proposal is noted. And could we have a second, please?
Mr.
Mr. President,
President,
I
I'd like to
second.
second.
Thank you, DTM Khurram, Toastmaster Nagendra, and Toastmaster Abdul Rahim. Thank you, gentlemen. Before we move on further, it is noted that one of our members has suffered a bereavement in the family. So let us observe 1 minute silence in order to pay some respect to the departed soul. Thank you, BDT members. Let's now move on to our business session, and let me ask any officer who wants to say something of note to the club. Yes, Mr. Treasurer, Toastmaster Nagendra, the floor is yours, sir.
Good evening, President, fellow Toastmasters and guests. I would like to thank all the members who have given their support to the club and renewed their membership on time. Thank you so much for all your support and look forward for a nice year ahead.
Thank you very much, Mr. Treasurer. That is indeed very, very good news. And also thank you for your diligence in following up with the membership as well. Very well done, and thank you. Sincerely appreciate it. May I ask if any other officer has something of note to share with the membership? Hearing none, let us now move on to the adoption of the minutes of the last meeting. The meeting minutes have been circulated on the WhatsApp group. Any amendments to the circulated minutes? Hearing none, may I ask that someone propose to adopt the meeting minutes as it is?
Mr. President, I'm Khalid Jalal. I propose that we accept the minutes of the meeting as they were circulated without any changes.
Thank you. Thank you very much, CGD DTM Khalid. The proposal is noted. May I have a second, please?
Mr. President, I second.
Thank you very much, DTM Khurram Salman. That brings us to the end of the adoption of the minutes as well. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow speakers, leaders, champions, to be leaders and champions. Today is an important day. September 11th is known in history and will be known in history for one particular event. But as we live and breathe today, and as we speak and lead today, over history, we have seen many, many days that would have been noted as the 11th of September. And as we speak of the great disaster that took place, I want to spend a minute to think of the many little acts of kindness, the many little acts of leadership, the many little gems of inspiration that are not spoken about. In this era of the pandemic, and in this era of COVID-19, and in this era where we are constrained and constricted to our offices and homes, it's important that we remember that the spirit of leadership and the act of service and sacrifice does not have to have a headline to be considered to be valuable. You are here today serving selflessly, sacrificing a Saturday afternoon out of your busy schedules because you embody that spirit of service and that spirit of leadership. And I know that for many of us visible on this screen today, we see you at this meeting now. But from the commencement of today in the morning, I'm sure that many of the leaders who appear on the screen have been serving selflessly and without a salary, giving their time freely for events that have been happening from the morning all the way up to this meeting and maybe even beyond. I want to take this opportunity to thank you for your service, for your faithfulness in renewing your membership with the Bahrain Distinguished Toastmasters Club. And I want to thank you for being together with us in fellowship as we look to serve not only the members of the club and the wider district as a whole, but also to further your objectives and interests and ambitions in the coming months and years ahead. Indeed, it is a tough time, but tough times never last, but tough people do. And you are some of the toughest people that Toastmasters have ever seen. So that smile hides behind so much of commitment, dedication, and of course, education that you bring to bear to this club and to all of the clubs that you serve. Thank you for your service, and I look forward to serving with you as well, fellow Toastmasters. Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us now to the introduction of the timer, and it is my great pleasure to welcome today our timer, distinguished Toastmaster DTM Aziza Al-Husseini, a humorous champion.
Point of
Welcome.
order, DTM
Yes.
Hisham. You've skipped
DTM.
over the part of introducing the TMOD, who will then go ahead and introduce all the role players.
I appreciate that, DTM Kuram. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time now to introduce the captain of our ship and he who will lead us through the next exciting few minutes. The first time that I worked with him was when he was the Division C director, and I had the great good fortune to work with him on the Toastmasters Leadership Institute, which was instituted in Bahrain after a long lapse. He's a person who leads by example, and he's a person whose leadership is always flag-borne with a smile. He's the epitome of a people person, and it is my great good fortune to call him a friend. Ladies and gentlemen, to take our meeting forward, it is my very great honor and privilege to introduce to you the Toastmaster of the day, distinguished Toastmaster Jahangir Khan. DTM Jani, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Master of the Ceremonies, fellow Toastmasters, and dear guests. Good evening to one and all. Before we begin, I just want to bring into the attention that I have received a couple of messages from the guest. The meeting link is working. However, the password is not working because I've been a victim of that. The password, I believe we tried to change it, and DTM Hisham already created all the passwords for the meetings. So that's the issue. That's why I cannot connect from the ID. So I'm having that issue myself. So I did receive a couple of messages from the members. The password which we changed, maybe in the settings something has been done, due to which people cannot log in with the ID and the password. Please look into that. So ladies and gentlemen, let us begin. Napoleon once said, "A leader is a dealer in hope." Now I want all of you to think of any inspirational leader. you all would agree that we admire them because they planted seeds of hope. We gladly follow the leader who can awaken a sense of expectation inside us. And whether we lead at home, man, we are excluded from that, but Toastmasters Sushma, Veena, Anisha, whether we lead at home or at work or in Toastmasters, hope is an essential element of success. When we talking about Toastmasters, the one person who came up with an idea of the club, Bahrain Distinguished Toastmasters Club, and the need for this club is Distinguished Toastmaster, our club growth director, DTM Khalid Jalal. I'm sure, just like me, DTM Khurram, DTM Hisham, and many others fell for that 5 to 10 minutes call in which he told us why BDTM is what we need. Because he showed us a hope he has for the club and the vision he was looking at. I'm very happy to say, and I'm very glad that I decided to be on board, and I'm loving every bit of it. Bahrain Distinguished Toastmasters Club was founded in September 2020. So that makes this month as our anniversary month. This club has achieved a lot in this 1 year, and one that achievement I would like to be highlighted over here is the special event for the World Champion of Public Speaking 2021 Verity Prize, which was held in the month of July 2021. See you at the top. Verity was the theme which we had, and we made sure that she reached the highest level, that is the World Championship of Public Speaking. So welcome everyone to Bahrain Distinguished Toastmasters Club, ladies and gentlemen. Now moving forward, throughout this meeting, I will be sharing with you how you can be a leader in hope. To start off with, we have to start with the agenda. Before with the agenda is introduction of our language evaluator, aka grammarian. Our grammarian for today is DTM Khurram Salman, and like few of our members, he hasn't replied to the beautiful questions I did ask our members. So I will be choosing a question and you have to answer it very shortly, and after that you can introduce your role. So DTM Khurram Salman, if you could snap your fingers and become an expert in something, what would it be? If you could snap your fingers and become an expert in something, what would it be? Answer that question, and then you can explain us the role which you're taking as a language evaluator. DTM Khurram Salman, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, DTM Jahangir. If I could just change something and become an expert with a snap of a finger, I'd probably choose coding, and specifically cryptocurrency coding, because I do believe that's the future and the way that's going in. So I believe that coding and snap of finger expert go well together. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you, Master of the Ceremonies. Welcome everybody to our meeting. We are here to improve our language. Language, according to the book Sapiens, is one of the most important survival tactics due to which we as human species of the world were able to conquer the world, because we could communicate with each other. We could communicate our ideas, our aspirations, our grievances, wherever we may come from. That is one of the reasons why we're here to improve ourselves today as well. My job as the language evaluator here at the DTM Club, we have clubbed the role of grammarian and accounter. We don't go into the specifics, but we look at the overall language that a speaker had and the points of improvement that they could have over their overall usage of language. I've already started noting points of the people who have started speaking, and I'll be noting them further as well. And I'll be reporting that right after the prepared speeches evaluation. Back to you, Team Murad.
Thank you, our grammarian DTM Khurram Salman, for explaining your role wonderfully. Moving forward, before I introduce our next role player, let me share one of the ways you can be a leader in hope. And that is by being a human with aspiration. Share challenges and weaknesses you have faced and work through with your teammates, with your friends, with your family, so they can improve and they can see. Ladies and gentlemen, the next role player of our today's meeting is our timer, who's going to be Toastmaster Aziza Al-Husseini, and she hasn't answered the question which I asked as well. So Toastmaster Aziza, before you introduce the timing criteria, could you please answer this question? And we would love to know, what is the best compliment you have ever received? Anyway, what is the best compliment you have ever received? Answer that question and explain the timing criteria. Ladies and gentlemen, Toastmaster Aziza.
First, good evening, Mr. President, and also the fellow Toastmaster and guest. Good evening, all. I am Aziza Al-Husseini. First, I am always interested about art, about education. It is the most important for me. And about my serving today, I will be serving as the timer, and my duty is to time prepared speech and evaluations and also table topics. And about how I will time. First, when a speaker reach the minimum time allotted, I will show the green slide. Then, when the speaker reach the midpoint of his speech, I will show the yellow slide. Then, if the speaker reached the end of his speaking time, I will show the red slide. Then the speaker has 30 seconds to end his speak. Back to you, Mr. Osar.
Thank you, Toastmaster Aziza Al-Husseini. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to jump straight into our educational session. Today, we have 2 prepared speakers and 1 special session. Before I begin with our 2 prepared speakers, as I told you in the beginning itself, I'll be sharing with you how you could be a leader in hope. And one other way of being a leader in hope is by showing people how they are making meaningful contribution. You need to be specific and you need to tell them how they are making meaningful contribution in whatever they are doing. Our first speaker of today's meeting is the youngest when it comes to achieving the Distinguished Toastmaster title, one of the youngest, DTM Firas Kayat. He is delivering his speech from Strategic Relationship Path, Level 2, Project 2. Before I introduce him, can I request one of the individual evaluator from the panel of evaluators who will be evaluating his objectives. So if Toastmaster Abdul Rahim, if he's here, Toastmaster Abdul Rahim.
Yes, sir.
Yes, he is here. Sir, can you please read out the objectives for the speaker? But wait a minute, I have a very interesting answer which he has given. I asked him, if you could snap your fingers and become an expert in something, and what would it be? And he said, I would like to read out a woman's mind. Sir, that's what you answered, right?
Yes, yes.
I wish you all the very best. Ladies and gentlemen, Toastmaster Abdul Rahim Hassan.
Thank you very much, DTM Jahangir Khan, my dear fellow Toastmasters, most honored distinguished guests, and our speaker, DTM Firas in particular. Well, before the speaker starts his speech, I think I must congratulate him because he is going to speak about a subject which is much in harmony with the theme of the meeting. So the project objectives are, the purpose of this project is for the member to identify his primary leadership style or styles and share some aspects of his primary leadership style or discuss leadership styles in general. Member will deliver a well-organized speech. Speech may be humorous, informational, or any style that member chooses. However, speech will not be a report on the content of the understanding of your leadership style project. DTM Aziza, time is 5 to 7 minutes. I wish the speaker all the very best, and I really look forward to this speech. Over to you, DTM Jahangir.
Thank you, Toastmaster Abdurrahim. He meant Toastmaster Faraz Kiyat. When I asked Toastmaster Faraz what is the most important characteristic of a leader according to him, he said a leader should be able to inspire. Fair enough, the most important point over here. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Faraz Kiyat with the speech title, Getting Things Done. Getting Things Done, Faraz Kiyat.
Leadership is about vision and responsibility, not power. Seth Berkley, CEO of Fortune 500 company in the US. Master of Ceremonies, fellow Toastmasters, and distinguished guests, a very good evening to each and every one of you. I am now 26 years old, and if there's one thing that I have experienced since childhood up until now, it is, as our Master of Ceremonies also identified, I've always been the youngest at something or the other. From my schooling days, I was always the youngest in my class by months, not by a couple of weeks, because I was born in February. So I made the cutoff to enter the grade before with the people who were senior to me. Similarly, in university, I joined university at 17. Everyone else was at least 18. So I was the only one who couldn't legally drive. When I joined work, again, the same thing. I was the youngest person at work in my office until last year when someone joined as an intern and I was happy I'm no longer the youngest. He left his internship and also went. I returned back to being the youngest in my club. When it comes to leadership, I was in preparation for the speech thinking, when have I been a leader? Or have I even been a leader? And I remembered in school, I captained my school football team. In Toastmasters, I've held several officers' positions, including that of the president. Even at work, I have led certain projects. So I have been a leader. But one of the main reasons I joined Toastmasters, unlike the majority of the members, who you all may recall from the induction, the 30 second they say, I have joined to improve my communication skills. I personally felt communication was not a challenge for me. And what I lacked was the ability to lead, to be authoritative. I lacked the authoritative bone. So I joined Toastmasters to be a better leader, but far and behold, I learned communication wasn't that great either. So I had to improve upon that as well. Fellow Toastmasters, even when in my football school days of playing football, I realized I would want my teammate to do certain things, but I, being the youngest member, could not do certain things. I had one specific characteristic or matter that has been inflicted upon me by culture is to respect those who are older to us. That made me less in terms of authority, to being direct to someone when I want to ask something. Even when I was the club president, my club secretary was DTM Ahmed Rizvi. And for those of you who know him, I was in my early 20s when I was the president. He had been in Toastmasters for over 20 years. So even though I was the secretary before, and I know there are certain roles that secretary must do, I wouldn't ask him as my club secretary to do it. I would just keep a note on the side, reminders to myself, because I couldn't ask him to do something for me because of the age difference. Similarly, even at work, when I want something done, I know the person who has to do it is not me, but I, being so young or younger to the person I have to ask to do, I would not be able to directly request them to do something. So I, most of the time, would do it myself, even though it's not necessarily my task to do. Until I did my HPL project recently, I realized I thought leadership was about authority, was about being direct, was about telling someone, do this, do that. But when I did my HPL project and I was sitting with my guidance committee, I was telling them the one weakness that I've identified in myself is that I'm not authoritative. I cannot ask someone older to me to do something. Even recently, when in my club, I identified a certain discrepancy in an officer's role. Because he was older to me, I requested someone else to speak to that person, even though I could have done so being a past president of the club and one of the senior members of the club, although by age I'm still young. Fellow Toastmasters, when I did the survey for this project, about 15 or 20 questions to understand what type of leader I was, I realized and I was shown that I am at the top was democratic leader and an innovative leader, bureaucratic, and the last one out of the many characteristics, authoritative leader. No surprise there. While learning or preparing for my SPL project, my guidance committee was showing me that leadership does not necessarily mean asking people to do things a certain way, but rather surrounding myself with people who share the same vision as me. And there's a very common phrase that we talk about when it comes to being a leader, and that is, if you want someone to build you a ship, don't tell them, build me a ship. Instead, let them envision the destination that that ship would take them to, and thereby making them want to build the ship themselves. That is where what my guidance committee told me as well. Do not ask people to do things, rather just tell them how or what we want the end result and let them come across with ideas of how to do it. This is what I learned being in the guidance committee, and that is where I felt, even though we wanted a good speaker for our project of my HPL, instead of saying we need a good speaker, they told me, how about you ask them to give them a question and let them respond with the solution to it. So my question was, what kind of program can we have so that the people or the guests who attended will remember this project even after years to come? So being a leader for me at the very beginning was being authoritative, being a dictator and directing people to do things a certain way. But after learning from Toastmasters, I've understood that being a good leader is about sharing a vision. That is why I believe, even though Toastmasters is internationally renowned for being the platform for communication and public speaking, the tagline of Toastmasters is not where communicators are made or where speakers are made, it is where leaders are made. Fellow Toastmasters, I will leave you with the exact same quote that I began with, which is, leadership is about vision and responsibility, not about power. Master of Ceremonies.
Thank you, distinguished Toastmaster Faraz Kia. Ladies and gentlemen, now we would observe 1 minute of silence, and we can use the chat window to share our comments for distinguished Toastmaster Faraz Kia. I believe we have a form, correct? Thank you, DTM Karim Salman. Can we quickly fill it up? And timer, you can let me know once 1 minute is over. Thank you, DTM Karim Salman. the 1 minute is up. We also have a new joiner, guest DTM Ram Kumar. You can quickly introduce yourself. Ram.
Mr. Jahangir, DTM Jahangir, thank you. Good evening, one and all. Thank you so much. Can you repeat the question, Mr. DTM Jahangir?
Can you just introduce yourself? Welcome to BDTM.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. I am Distinguished Toastmaster, immediate past Division Director, District 20, Home Club, Capital Speakers Toastmasters Club. I'm member of 6 clubs as of now. And I received invitation from DTM Khalid. Thank you very much. And
Thank you for
I'm
joining.
so happy and delighted to be here. And thanks for introducing me. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, DTM Ram. Welcome to BDTM. Moving forward, our next presenter, our speaker number 2. Before that, let me share one other way you can be a leader in hope, and this by far is my favorite, by creating and celebrating small wins. Every challenge is made smaller by a series of small wins. So we have to celebrate every small win during our journey. Our second speaker, ladies and gentlemen, is Toastmaster Sushma, delivering her speech from Strategic Relationship Part, Level 2, Project 2. Before I introduce her, can I request one of the evaluators from the panel, DTM Hisham Jeffrey, who will be evaluating her on her objectives. When I asked DTM Hisham Jeffrey, what is that one characteristic of a leader which is most important, he said, a quality of a leader is to anticipate the unexpected. Well said, ladies and gentlemen, DTM Hisham Jeffrey.
Thank you very much, DTM Jahangir Khan. Our speaker, Toastmaster Sushma, is attempting Project 2. Project 1 from Level 2 of the Strategic Relationships part is a very, very interesting project. The purpose of this project is to identify her own cultural identities and the stereotypes that impact others' perception of the speaker. And the objective is to develop a 5 to 7 minute speech about the cultures with which Toastmaster Sushma most closely identifies and the personal impact of the stereotypes commonly associated with those cultures. She may need to spend some time researching these stereotypes believed about her culture, especially if she is a member of the most dominant culture in that geographic area. So we must be aware that all cultural identities have some sort of affiliated stereotype, even if it is obscure or uncommon. And one important part of this project is to define the cultural identity resource. A very interesting project, a very interesting speaker, and I'm sure we are in for a very interesting experience. Wish you all the best, Toastmaster Sushma. Back to you, Mr. TMOD.
Thank you, Toastmaster DTM Hisham Jeffrey. Yes, the objectives look very different and new. When I asked Toastmaster Sushma, again, if you could snap your fingers and become an expert in something, what would it be? She said, an IT infrastructural professional. Only 5 years in Toastmasters has proved that this is something which you need. Toastmaster Sushma Kumar, ladies and gentlemen, with the speech title, Gender Stereotypes. Gender Stereotypes, Toastmaster Sushma Kumar.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the Day. It is not easy to be stranded between two worlds, but the sad part is that we can never be comfortable in either world, said by Sharon K. Toastmaster of the Day, fellow Toastmasters and invited guests, a very good evening to all. From the members present here, I would like to ask, how many of you are having sons and daughters? Can you raise your hands? Nice to know that. So that means you are married. And do you treat sons and daughters equally all the times? Question mark. It's a very big question mark. Am I right? Culture is not made up, but something that evolves, which is human. Our society has a set of ideas about how we expect men and women to dress, behave, and present themselves. Girls and women are generally expected to dress in typically feminine ways and be polite, accommodating, and nurturing, whereas men, they are generally expected to be strong, aggressive, and bold. How do gender stereotypes affect the people? Stereotypes about gender can cause unequal and unfair treatment because of person's gender. There are 4 types of basic gender stereotypes. The first one is personality trait. That is, women are often expected to be accommodating and emotional, while men, they are usually expected to be self-confident and aggressive. The second stereotype is domestic behavior. Usually it is thought that women, they should take care of the house, they should cook the food, take care of the kids. In all, the women should be in the house, whereas men, they are the ones who should be taking care of the finance, and they are the ones who are supposed to work outside the house. The third stereotype gender is occupation. There are certain occupations like nurse, like teachers. It is said that these occupations are only for the women, and some occupations like pilot, engineers, and doctors, they belong only to the men. Next gender stereotype is physical appearance. The women are always thought to be thin and slim, whereas men, they are supposed to be tall and they are supposed to be masculine. Men and women are also expected to dress and groom in the way that are stereotypical and they are harmful for them. Example I can say is, it is harmful for a man to think that he is not allowed to cry. He is not allowed to show his emotions. And at the same time, it is harmful for a woman to think that she cannot be independent, she cannot be smart, and she cannot be self-dependent. There is a very different gender dynamic in many countries, I will say. I belong to India, so I can say about India. It seems incredibly paradoxical. The importance of women is evident, but at the same time, they are not respected the way they should be. Most of the orphans which are dumped at the doorstep of the orphanage are baby girls. There are millions of female babies who are aborted and killed after the birth every year. This is only because they think that a child male, when grows up, is going to be the head of the family and is going to earn income, and also he will get married, and they also expect the male child, after getting married, to get the dowry. Abuse is not only for the girls, it is also for the domestic wives. the thing which is very common in villages. Respect people regardless of their gender. Personally, I think that women's individuality should be celebrated and encouraged as much as men's. If someone is making jokes and comments, whether online or in person, challenge them. In Toastmasters, I have seen many making jokes of their spouses, but personally, I feel it is humiliating for their spouses. If you want to do something that's not normally associated with your gender, think about whether you will be safe doing it. If you think you will give it a try, people will learn from your example. Never judge someone by the way he looks or the way the book is covered. For inside those tattered pages, there is a lot to be discovered. Back to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sushma, for a wonderful speech. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, we will be observing 1 minute. In that 1 minute, if we can write our comments. Do we have a form for meeting forum? Will be sharing the form. So, ladies and gentlemen, we will be writing our comments for the speech which was presented by Toastmaster Sushma. Timer, please do let me know once 1 minute is over. I guess we may proceed. Thank you, Vice President of Education. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for our next special session. I don't think so. I need to share how we need to be a leader in hope from here onwards, because the session which is coming next will be covering everything. Mohamed Murad, distinguished Toastmaster from Dubai, United Arab Emirates, served as a Toastmasters International President in the year 2014-2015. A retired senior police officer, he holds several academic degrees and has more than 28 years of experience as the director and chief executive officer levels in emergency medical services, management, human resource development, and strategic planning for organizations. Ladies and gentlemen, it's our honor to have such a profiling personality at our club today. Please give him a huge round of virtual applause with a smile as I give the virtual floor to distinguished Toastmaster Mohamed Murad with the talk on Pillars of Leadership. Pillars of Leadership, distinguished Toastmaster Mohamed Murad.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster of the Day, fellow Toastmasters. It's indeed a pleasure to be among you in Bahrain, because Bahrain has got a very special place in my heart. My wife is from Bahrain originally, and I have fond memories of Bahrain holding the first few GTACs, the Gulf Toastmasters Annual Conference, and it was with flying colors. So I know how much the clubs in Bahrain take care of details, they take care of protocol, and that's something that we have learned from our predecessors. And leadership probably is nothing but learning from our past experiences, learning from our past leaders, and being able to become better. And if you look at the whole continuum, you will find that I have touched upon the past. I have looked at where we are and where we will be going. So leadership is not about what I will be doing. And in Toastmasters, we have this election year for the volunteers. And every year we have new people elected into the club ExCom, into the district roles, and even on the international level. And when that happens, we get into a certain frame of mind that says, this is my year. And how many of you as club officer role takers have said that? I know I have in my previous roles in the district and club. But later I found out that leadership is not about our turn. Leadership is understanding that you are part of this whole chain that had started for Toastmasters in 1924 by Ralph Smedley creating the first club. And if you look at that continuum, you will find out that the year that we are taking part in leadership is a very tiny part, but again, a very important part. Because as I said, we are one chain piece in a very long chain. And when we finish our role, there is someone else coming into our role. And therefore they build another chain and another. So soon we become a chain in the middle. And obviously the chain above us is much smaller than the one under us. So whenever we take on leadership roles, we need to understand that people have put a lot of weight into our responsibility, and we need to fulfill it. And we need to fulfill it in a way that would make our predecessors proud, and in a way that would pave the way, facilitate what will be coming next. So leadership is about understanding that you are part of the whole, and there is no way that we can achieve anything on our own. So the group dynamics is an important aspect of leadership that you need to be conscious of. And once you are conscious, then you will be able to understand that things will be running more smoothly than when you believe that your leadership is finite. Because it's not. It's a never-ending story in our lives. And there are many people who say, you know, I have done whatever I can, and therefore I am no longer in a position to lead. And that is after we finish our roles, our official roles. But I have found out that informal leadership is far, far more influential than formal leadership. It is far, far more satisfying to yourself. Because formal leadership is finite. It has a beginning and it has an ending. But informal leadership could be as wide as you want. It could be as far overreaching as you want. And you will be able to influence as many people as you want. So if you look at the club, then you have 20 to 50 members. If you look at areas, you will find probably a few hundred. A district goes from 1,000, 2,000 to 7,000 or 8,000 when you have 300 clubs. But then that's it. And this is probably what prompted me to look at how far could I reach in making sure I make a difference in other people's lives. And this is probably what prompted me to go into the leadership roles above the district as international director and then as second VP and came to international president. And I thought it's the height. That is it. I will be able to do whatever I can do, and then I will rest and retire. And this is what we say, right? Every role we take, and especially the district director role, many of the people who have taken that role will say, that is it. I am done because I have had so many challenges. I have had so much trouble and so many conflicts that I cannot take it anymore. But then, if you take enough leadership roles, you understand that conflict is part of leadership. It's fun to have challenges in order for us to tackle them, because that's where the maximum experience happens. So it's important for us to have a positive mindset, making sure that we avoid whatever obstacles that we can avoid, but knowing that obstacles and challenges are inevitable in any leadership role. Therefore, we prepare ourselves to tackle them. And this is where the success factor lies, preparing ourselves. Because you see, leadership is about the team. Leadership is about the people who will help you achieving the goals. But there is a very important aspect of leadership that you may not find so obvious. And that is yourself. Because no matter how much the outside environment will affect your leadership role, a very important aspect is the inside environment, because that's what will make you resilient. That's what will make you think creatively. That's what will make you be able to have the stamina to sustain the challenges that come your way. So let me ask you this question. What have you done to grow the inner leader? And for that, I'd like to ask you a simple question. And the question is, who are you?
I'm a learner, sir.
Who are you?
Can I answer, sir? DTM Mohamed, sir?
You do not need to answer me. What I would like you to do is reflect for a few seconds on this question. And just like our colleague here, there are people who will have the answer on the tip of their minds right away because they know who they are. There are other people who will think and probably go to bed tonight and keep on thinking about this question. And both of the situations are fine, by the way, because there's no right and wrong answer. It is all about how you feel. Some of you might have answered that I am a successful businessman. Others might say I am a successful employee. There's someone who would say, I'm a good Toastmaster. I'm a fantastic mother. I am an obedient son. And your answer will define what you are and what you define yourself right now. The interesting thing in this question is that once you are aware of it, it will change in time. And probably some of you have changed their answer by just listening to me into how wide a perspective this question could become. So who are you? A more important question is, who do you want to become? And this is the ultimate leadership question. Because between who you are and who you want to be, there is this gap. And your leadership journey is filling this gap. Not by bringing the two questions close to each other, but by making sure that you maintain the gap and fill it with enough experiences to make sure that both questions go hand in hand into the future. So leadership has two aspects. One is you as part of the team. The second, and that's the basis of everything that you do and everything that you want to become, that is the inside. You see, there is no successful person who has been turbulent on the inside that will be successful on the outside. They need to answer these questions with confidence in order to go forward. So I leave you with these two sentences. Number one, how strong is your piece of chain going to be? when you leave the role. Second point, who do you want to be? Back to you.
Wow. Before this session, I was giving a reference of another event which we had in DTM. From now onwards, I need to change the answer. Wonderful session. Thank you, distinguished Toastmaster Mohamed, Murad. It was an honor for all of us, especially for me. Really enjoyed, learned a lot. So many questions to look into and answer. Thank you for that. Please, can we have some questions, please? If you are fine with that, sir. Can we?
Sure.
Sure. Can we have the raise of hands if we have any questions? Just raise your hand so I can take the questions and DTM Mohamed Murad can answer those questions. Do we have any questions from anyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes, DTM Param Salman, please.
Mohamed, thank you so much for coming in. It's always a pleasure listening to you and to get some of that wisdom that you've acquired over the years. One of the things that you're hearing a lot these days is it's not worth it. The trouble that we are putting ourselves through in this leadership or outside as well, we just end up saying, you know what, it's not worth it. It's too much of a maskhara, it's too much of a problem. What would you say to such people and such situations?
Well, I have, probably some of you have listened to my keynote, which is titled, Is Leadership for Me? And within this keynote, I talk about the definition of leadership and what leadership is, but at the end, I answer this question. And the way I answer it is that the only answer to this question is yes. Why? Because you will never know what will happen unless you try. So if you say it's not worth the challenge, how do you know that it's not worth the challenge if you have not tried it? You see, it's easy for people to shy away from leadership, to shy away from different opportunities that are given in life, just because they believe it's not worth it. But let me tell you, you go and ask each and everyone who has gone through it, and I challenge you that there is not one single successful person who has gone through a successful leadership journey that will tell you it was not worth it.
Thank you. Thank you, DTM Param and DTM Murad. We have two more hands raised. We'll go with DTM Ram Kumar. Can you please ask your question, followed by DTM Mona? DTM Ram, please.
Good evening, sir, and good evening, members. Thank you. I'm DTM Ram Kumar from District 20, Kuwait. DTM Mohamed Murad, always inspiringly, sir. Appreciate. Hats off to you for exemplary, mentoring, coaching, and wherever you step in, we are all motivated. Thank you for your wonderful talk. I was personally enhanced. Who am I? Who am I? That provoked me one question. True leader is the one who subdues himself. I'm talking with respect to the four quadrants, psychologically, physically, mentally, you name it. When it comes to the leadership, they say, I'm accountable for recognition for the results. Why it is fading away, this kind of a concept with your experience? Can I hear it in a little bit briefly, sir? Thank you.
If you're talking within the context of Toastmasters?
In general, personal, professional, wherever it is. Leadership, in my knowledge, results and recognition. This is slowly fading away, be it organization or be it a Toastmasters. In general, thank you, sir.
Well, in terms of Toastmasters, I believe there is not enough holding people accountable. And that is plainly because we understand the organization not in the appropriate way. You see, our organization is voluntary, but that does not mean that when someone commits to something, that they are not accountable for it. So we have not succeeded in making sure that the accountability aspect of things are ingrained and trained to our people who take up leadership roles. As generally, I think it's also accountability, but it is self-accountability. You see, we are raised in a way that would promote and make us not accountable for the actions that we are taking. So if we are raised in a way that would give us all the things that we want when we were young, and I'm talking about UAE nationals and probably Gulf nationals who are spoiled in a way in this, we are not held accountable. We get things easy. And if you get used to that, then we shy away from achieving results that you were talking about. And we will never feel the urge to do more. So accountability is the answer.
Thank you, DTM. Ram, and thank you, DTM Murad, for answering it wonderfully. Can we take one last question from? We are on time when it comes to agenda. We still have 7 minutes. We'll take the last question from DTM Monalaka. Madam, please.
Thank you, Toastmaster Jahangir, our MC. Peace, mercy upon you all. And would love to thank our dignitary, our guest, Toastmaster DTM, Mohamed Murad, and for the lovely information and the lovely share with us today. My questions will go like this. It's very straight and simple. During your journey in Toastmaster, you've taken many roles. So which role you love to take again and why?
Okay. Let me tell you, I will not like to take any role again. And the reason for that is very simple. I believe, see, there are many clubs who are weak, and there are many areas who don't have enough leaders, especially in the US and North America. They don't have enough people to take up area director and division director and so on. Therefore, there are past leaders who step in and take up this role. My personal opinion is that once a person is compelled or volunteers to take on a role that they have done again, that means we have failed in creating leaders. Therefore, we have failed in the mission of Toastmasters is where leaders are made. Because there should be no loss of any numbers for people to take up leadership. As for your question of which role I would like to do again, I would love to do the role of club president, because I think it's one of the toughest, because you are at the beginning of the journey of leadership, and the way that the club structure is formed makes you have a thick skin and prepared for the things to come in the future. So president is what I would like to do, but I assure you I will not do it, because I will make sure that there are presidents, enough presidents that come forward within my club to take on the role.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, that brings an end for our special session. Once again, I would request all the members of DTM and the guests to give a big round of applause to our special guest, DTM Mohamed Murad. It was lovely to have him and learn from his expertise. Before we move forward, if with the permission of Mr. President and in the presence of DTM Mohamed Murad, can we take a group photo? This would be a memorable picture. We can take a group photo. Can I request all the members and the guests if they can switch on their cameras, please? Wait for 5 seconds. Okay. 1, 2, and 3. 1 second. I'll be taking one more. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Thank you. Thank you. And let's.
I hear you mute. We can't hear you.
Yes. Thank you, DTM Mohamed Murad, once again. With that, our special session for tonight comes to an end. But before we go forward, again, I would prefer if we can have 1 minute of silence, in which we can share our comments and thank DTM Mohamed Murad.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Now we will move forward after a wonderful session in which we learned a lot. It's time to have some fun and challenge. It's time for our table topic session. And our table topic master for today is distinguished sponsor Mohamed. Today, while I looked into the window of the number of people attending today's session, this thought came to my mind, and I believe DTM Mona would agree. Me and DTM Mona, we go hand in hand. If there is an event in which I'm given the opportunity to take the lead for the English side, it comes to DTM Mona that can you take the lead for the Arabic? So we have worked on multiple projects together right now as well. We are working as the training coordinators for our program quality director, DTM Khalid Abdullah. Yes, we have Jalal here. Ladies and gentlemen, before we go forward, I did send questions to DTM Mona as well, which I haven't received the answer. I'm sure she has been busy. So DTM Mona, what is leadership? What is the best characteristic of a leader according to you? Can you answer that question? And after that, you can begin your table topic session. Distinguished Toastmaster Mona Al-Qab, our table topic master, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Master Ceremony. Good evening, and for you all again. And what are the characteristics for the leaders? I believe that leadership, these are skills that we learn, but we have to have always an ethic and core values to follow so that we we develop ourselves to be a better leaders. And for not answering your question, because I've been assigned for this role just with our education BPE. So you know how much we've been busy today, but still as a leaders, we have to accept all the challenges. Thank you so much. for having me today as a table topic master. And table topic master is a role that I would say that it will enable members to develop the skills of impromptu speaking and speak on their feet. Table topics help train members to quickly organize and express their thoughts. You can think of the table topic speech as a mini speech with an opening, a body, and a conclusion. This also provides a speaking opportunity for any member who would wish to participate in this segment, and wish that I can get volunteers today with me to join our table topics session. By the way, the time will be 1 to 2 minutes for each speaker. And there will be a grace of plus 30 seconds. And anyone got the question, we will allow 30 seconds to prepare a speech, mini speech before he speaks. Time you start to speak, the timer will count. So any volunteers, or shall I choose? My question will be very easy, very simple, and don't worry.
Every table topic master says that.
I will choose if no one volunteers. Okay, everybody is shy today. I'm not sure why. Okay, I would like to hear from Toastmaster Negandra. Can you be able to open your camera? Yes. So, we say a leader is a dealer in hope. Your question is, a leader is the one who plants the seed of hope. Again, a leader is a dealer in hope. A leader is the one who plants the seeds of hope. Floor is yours.
Table Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters, and guests, good evening. When I had one of my colleagues who was a junior to me, a fresh graduate from school, from college, he started to talk to me, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. I told, don't worry, don't call me sir. You can call me Naga. He was flabbergasted. Few weeks later, when I was sending my weekly report to our manager, he was so surprised and he said, wow, this was an amazing report. I have never seen this earlier. He said, yes, you will start to do the same thing, don't worry. Few years, he was with me for almost 5 to 6 years, and I could see him grow from the level he started from a fresh college graduate to an amazing engineer. It's not that I, as a leader, paused over him and said, you have to do this, you have to do that. No, I was granting that, putting that hope in him that he can do it. And this is the best thing which leaders are. And I do agree with you that leaders are the ones who will plant that hope in people. Back to you, Toastmaster. Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Toastmaster Negandra. Yes, confidence, giving confidence to people. I believe this is what we learn in Toastmaster, and that's why we are good speaker and good leaders, by having confidence in ourselves and also with confidence in others. And now will be the second volunteer, or will be the second that I have to choose.
I can be the one, but the problem, I don't have the camera. My camera
Ahmed
is
Saleh. Ahmed
Sorry.
Saleh.
My camera is not working. I don't know what's wrong with it.
Yeah, it's okay. We can take you as a table topics if you wish, without
Yes.
a camera.
Sure.
Okay. Now, again, I will say a leader is a dealer in hope. Your question is, a leader who is able to awaken a sense of expectation inside of us. A leader is the one who able to awaken a sense of expectation inside of us. Floor is yours.
Leader can wake sense of expectation in us. I do agree with this. Why I agree with this? Lately, I'm studying, I have gone back to the university. So lately I'm studying something, my latest course is emotional intelligence. And it shows, the coach taught me how much a leader needs lots of intelligence and skills to be a leader. Emotion is art. The various emotions, when I talk about emotions, various emotions like feelings, sensations, thinking, all these things, these are intelligence in us, which supposed to awaken that what we call it, the talent or the skills that we have, that they are clipped within us, that we need to tackle them and awake them. A leader, a real leader needs to make sure that he is sending the inspired, motivated message to the followers so they can believe in him or her or them. So they can believe in them that they are real leaders. They're supposed to be followed because they are sending a positive message to the followers, to the community, and to the society. You cannot follow someone who is looking for individual benefit. Rather than that, you need to look for a leader who is looking to leave a legacy behind him, a legacy of lessons and motivational and inspirational lessons that let these followers know that they are walking on a path of success, a path that will lead them to be themselves leaders in the future, inshallah. Back to you, Toastmaster. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Toastmaster Ahmed Saleh. Yes, everyone have a talent, and the leader who show or discover the talents and will encourage follower or will encourage the members in the team how to use these kind of talents. Thank you, Toastmaster Ahmed, for having us you with us today. And now I would like to choose a lady. Bina, are you here? Bina? There to call Bina. Okay. Shall we go for Aster, please? So what's, yeah. A lady? Come on, ladies, let us show how powerful we are. Aster, are you here? No? Yeah. Okay, Esther, she's here, but can you speak, or is difficult for you? Okay, then since
I wanted to join before only, but continuous patience, you know. So then.
Hi, good evening, Dr. Babu here. Sorry,
Hello.
apologies for the delay. I just was held up in a meeting. Thank you. Good to at least spend some time at least with BDTM for some time.
Welcome, Dr. Babu, but let us have Esther before. Now, Esther, your question is, a leader is a dealer in hope. Your question is, a mother is a leader of hope. Question is, a mother is a leader of hope. Floor is yours.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. The question is, the mother is the leader of home, right? Absolutely. That is the job of the mother. Mother is the one who will control everyone in the house, including the husband. Whatever the mother says, everyone has to follow. Mother will be the one to produce the children. Mother will be one to educate the children, to tell them what is right and wrong. And mother will also be the one to tell the husband what is right and wrong. The house will not function if the mother takes rest even for one day. A mother's job is 24/7, 365 days of the year. No rest and no salary also. It is an unpaid job. And mother, as you all know, is the most powerful person in the whole universe. Whatever the mother does, the rest of the people will follow, including the children. The children will have more feeling for the mother rather than the father. The father, of course, makes the money and brings it home and all, but the mother is the one to tell whether to how to spend it, how to even control it, and whether to eat food from outside or food from the house. Of course, the mother will be the one to decide. Today, are we going out? No, we are going to be staying in the house and eating healthy food. What other things a mother can do? Mother can do a lot of things to shape the outside also. Mother can take up a help in the financial situation of the family. The mother will also be the one to tell the other people that how everything has to be run. All in all, mother is the best, and the mother is the number one person in the house. As a teacher, as a friend, as a provider, mother is the one. And as today's theme is supposed to be Teachers' Day, a mother is the better teacher than any of the teachers in any school. Over to you. Back to you, Table Topics Master. This was Table Topics session only, right?
Supposed to. So your next...
You know, I came actually to listen to Sushma ji's speech, but then I just couldn't make it. She's the one who invited me and told me, no, come, you have to listen to my speech.
Thank you. But I believe that this should be your next topic for your speech. Mothers are leaders. And now, let us go for Dr. Babu. Can you join us with the table topics? Can you open your camera, or is it difficult for you?
Sure. On my camera, you may see me only driving, so I don't know how it will be visible.
So be safe.
But still,
be safe then.
I never say no to table topic, so you can go ahead.
Okay, and we always would like to get benefit from having you with us also, as you are a champion in table topics.
Thank you so much for your kind words.
your question is, I will do something else now. Toastmasters tagline is where leaders are made. Dr. Ralph C. Smedley believed that leaders are made. Are you with or against, and why?
Yes.
Again?
No.
Shall I give
leader
that question
is,
again? It's okay.
No, I got it. I got
Okay.
it. I got it.
The floor is yours.
Hey, Madam Table Topic Master, fellow Toastmasters, and dear guests. You see, Peter Drucker has said that a good leader is one who lights a candle, bringing light, and that candle lights another, and then another, and another, till a dark room is converted entirely into light. So I firmly believe that leaders are made. See, the question always arises, are leaders born or are leaders made? And I go with the theory that leaders are made. In every single individual who is born in this world, there is a leader. But only a leader, a true leader, can find out what is the capacity within the person and bring out the leadership in them. And that's the hallmark of a good leader. If I have some leadership skills in me today, it's because of the training I received during ordinary student in class 5 in a school. I remember a teacher lifting me up and telling, Babu, please attend a leadership camp. I was just 10 years old at that time. It was there that I realized that there was or there is a leader in everyone, because that helped me to mold my leadership skills. And so when everyone says that leaders are born, of course, there are leaders who are great, and we assume that they are born. But Mahatma Gandhi was never a leader in his childhood. Mother Teresa was never a leader. Nelson Mandela was never a leader in the beginning. They were all made leaders by those who groomed them. So I strongly believe with what the great father of Toastmasters, Dr. Ralph C. Smedley said, leaders are made. And that is an apt tagline for Toastmasters. Back to you, Madam Table Topic Master.
Thank you, Dr. Babu. That means leaders can help us get through at the darkness time. Thank you, Toastmaster Dr. Babu. And by this, I believe that my session came to end. And back to you, Master of Ceremony, Toastmaster, distinguished Toastmaster Jahangir.
Thank you, DTM Mona. Thank you so much for excellent topics, and to all the speakers. Now, ladies and gentlemen, after having some fun topics and interesting answers, it's time to get the table topic evaluation. It will be done by distinguished Toastmaster Hisham Jeffrey. Can I please request?
Can I interfere?
Yes, please.
Master Ceremony, I believe that before the evaluation, can we take the votes if you're going to vote for the best table topics and the best speaker, because it will affect it by the evaluation.
No worries. So I don't know if we can proceed. Can you confirm on that?
We will take this. I was just thinking on the same lines, actually. We will take this consideration for the next meeting, as we didn't plan for it as such. So we will take that as a feedback.
But it is a
meeting.
Yeah, good suggestion.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, DTM Mona.
Thank you, DTM Mona.
In the meanwhile, can I proceed with the evaluation?
Yes, can we have the evaluation of the table topic session? DTM Hisham Jeffrey.
It's me. I'm the evaluator. Here's the agenda. You're looking at the older version of the agenda.
Yes, I'm not even looking at the agenda. I'm looking at my script. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome DTM Khurram Salman.
Thank you. See, this is why renaming ourselves is a very nice thing. So language and TT evaluation. Thank you, Master of Ceremonies. I'm going to rush through this as we're running a little bit out of time. wonderful topics by our Toastmasters master and wonderful speakers we have today. Toastmaster Naga, straight to the personal storytelling aspect. Loved it, loved this humble approach that he had. My only suggestion that I have for him is that he could have ended his topic with a call to action, is that leaders, please be a seeder of hope in people as well. So just a call to action would have really tied it up very, very nicely. Toastmaster Ahmed over here, very quick to locate the topic and make it his own topic and relevant to him as well. I would just advise him to have an example of a historical figure himself, perhaps, when he was discussing about how a leader seeks expectations in our members. Aster, I'm not sure if that's her real name, but for the reference of our meeting, we'll call her Aster. And 24/7, 365, no rest, no salary. I loved how she had that coming in as well. I would have loved to see an experience of either her being a mother or her mother. So she spoke a lot about mother. Oh, you guys can't hear me? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, here we can, but the audio quality is not good. It's
Yes,
okay.
that's why I cannot hear. I thought it's only me.
Yeah, it's
Better?
okay.
Is this better now?
Yeah,
Yes.
much better.
All right, brilliant, perfect. So that was what that happens. All right, so Esther, 24/7, 365, no rest, no salary. If you're a mother, I would have loved to see that experience of either you being a mother or you having your own mother as well, but brilliantly spoken. Dr. Babu, I've really got no feedback for him as such, but I've got a couple of things that I loved how he had. So Toastmaster Asha Pradeep I've just gotten, and she has renamed herself as well. So thank you, Toastmaster Asha, for your topic as well. I appreciate that. Toastmaster Babu started with the quote. He handled the topic very tactically. He had a personal short story coming in as well. He also included historical figures. And though he was driving, he still had body language. I've really got no feedback. Kudos to you, Dr. Babu, on that note, and within the time limit as well. That's all I've got for our table topic speaker. Back to you, TMOD.
Thank you, Karam.
Thank you, DTM Forum Salman. Let us proceed with our speech evaluations. But before that, can I request our timer if you can give us the time taken by the prepared speakers that can be looked into by the panel evaluators. Toastmaster Aziza.
Good evening again, fellow Toastmasters and guests. About prepared speech, you want first?
Yes.
About prepared speech, Toastmaster Faraz, 7 minutes and 37 seconds. Toastmaster Soshma, 6 minutes and 50 seconds.
Can you also tell us the time taken by table topics?
About table topics, Toastmaster Nigandra, 2 minutes. Toastmaster Ahmed Saleh, 2 minutes and 10 seconds. Dr. Aster, 2 minutes and 48 seconds. Dr. Babu, 2 minutes and 11 seconds.
Thank you, Toastmaster Aziza. Now we may proceed with the evaluation of our prepared speakers. To start off with, Toastmaster Faraz Kayat was speaker number 1, and to evaluate him on objectives, it would be Toastmaster Abdurrahim Hassan. Toastmaster Abdurrahim Hassan, floor is yours.
Master of Ceremonies, how many minutes we have as each evaluators?
It would be 2 minutes, correct?
Normal 2 to 3 minutes?
2 to 3.
2 to 3.
2 to 3 minutes?
Past 30 seconds.
Okay. A true leader shows the way, goes the way, and knows the way. That's what Dr. John Maxwell said. General Evaluator or Master of Ceremonies, my dear fellow Toastmasters, most honored guests, and our speaker, DTM Faraz. Well, to remind the objectives of today's project, objectives of today's speaker was to identify the primary leadership style of the speaker and to share some personal aspects of this, right? So the speaker started with a very beautiful quote saying that leadership is about vision and responsibility, not about power. In other words, leadership is about action, not about position, isn't it? And then he went on to the body of the speech where he beautifully narrated his own personal experience as to how he was the youngest when he was in college, when he was in university, when he was playing football, when he was the captain of the team, he was the youngest. And he graduated onto the Toastmasters, where again he found himself youngest. And he was a president of the club. And all this while, the speaker was under the impression that leadership is all about power, it's all about authority, it's all about commanding people, do this, do that. And that's when he realized, while becoming the president of his Toastmasters club, as youngest man, he saw that his secretary is a senior most Toastmaster. That's when the Toastmaster found himself in a very intriguing and demanding and a very difficult situation, because he was brought up in a culture where we respect the elders. So how can he conduct this office? So then he goes on to say how Toastmasters trained him, or how the realization dawned upon him that leadership is not about commanding and controlling. Leadership is not about power and authority. Leadership is all about sharing and caring. Leadership is all about being simple and humble. That's when he realizes through Toastmasters, this realization dawns upon him. All this narration in a very simple, humble, heartfelt manner, all through. What I liked about today's speech is the simplicity in which the whole narrative was done, the simple, humble manner, and the personal story. Ladies and gentlemen, I really congratulate DTM for us for delivering this speech today in a very unassuming, in a very sincere manner. And I think today he has fulfilled the project objectives of this speech. I look forward to his further speeches in the future. Over to you, Master of Ceremonies.
Thank you, Toastmaster Abdur Rahim Hassan. Next up, to evaluate Toastmaster Firas Kayat on content, and we have the evaluation by distinguished Toastmaster Isham Jibri.
Thank you very much, Mr. Toastmaster of the day. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening to you. In evaluating the content of this speech, we want to see the meat, the muscle, and the fiber that push this speech towards the message and objective that it was supposed to reach. Let's look at some of the tools that were used. And the first one was the use of a quote right at the beginning. Leadership is about relationships. It's not about power. Now, why is this apt? Because it is connected with the objective of the speech and the type of the speech, which is discovering my leadership style. So that was very, very artistically done. Second, DTM for us jumped immediately into the story. And he started off by saying, I'm 26 years old. Now that one sentence puts us into perspective, because it gives us a relative point between our age and his age, and it tells us in objective sense where he stands right now. So he put that pin on the speech and then wove the entire speech around that central theme, which was very, very well done. And I like the fact that he humorously used a callback to where he said, as the Toastmaster of the day mentioned, I am the youngest X, I am the youngest Y, I am the youngest A, I am the youngest B. Now, why that is a good technique is he could have just said, I am the youngest and I am the youngest. But by amending his speech to say, as the Toastmaster of the day said, he created that moment, that single moment where we saw the TMOD say it. So that is special to us in this particular meeting. Very nice use of a callback. The third is the very light and beautiful sprinkling of trademark humor that he used, especially where he said, I'm very happy I am not the youngest anymore. And that came with such sincerity and it was heartfelt. And we could really feel that he is one of the few people to now feel happy that he is older and not necessarily younger. And I like the triad that you used when you were describing your leadership journey. And you said at school, at Toastmasters, and at work. The rule of 3 is a powerful rule, and that can be used to remember a list of items. More better than 2, it's better than 4, and that was very aptly used. What I really enjoyed was the use of conflict in 2 particular situations. The first one was when you were unable to get your football team, who are older people, to do what you wanted them to do. And the second one was with regard to your HPL guidance committee, where you faced the conflict of trying to convince someone else to do what you wanted to do. And I like the takeaway message. Don't tell, but give them the vision to go and execute. Wonderful content. I wish you all the best. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you so much, distinguished Toastmaster Hisham Jeffrey. Next up on delivery, we have Toastmaster Gangadhar Rao. He will be presenting the evaluation for Toastmaster Praskya.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the Day. Fellow Toastmasters and distinguished guests, very good evening to you all. It's a very unique evaluation of the delivery part of Toastmaster Murad's speech. Always the best part to the delivery begins with setting the stage. He was so much ready, well positioned in the center of the stage. He checked all this audio, video equipment, everything. That was a first step to the successfully delivering a speech. And the best part I love today is gestures. The way he used the gestures, I felt for a minute, using the gestures, he can deliver the speech without speaking a word. Because when particularly he's making those gestures, a child, I know that he's talking about a child, an adult, he's talking about an adult, and taking a notes. So it is all what we call it as a purposeful gestures. Many times we do gestures for reason of doing, but here today it is 100% a purposeful gestures, which has literally explained the speech very well, even for the people who can't hear the words. That's the best thing. And the second thing is stage, marking the stage. He did so well. For the left side, he said, this is my school, this is my university, this is my workplace. So he marked so well the stage, not only marking, using of it. In the going forward in the speech, whenever he moves towards left, I know that he's going to talk something about school. In the middle, he's going to talk about something about university. I am fixed in my mind, these stage markings are permanent, and he's going to use that very well. He did that very well. And of course, body language, eye contact is superb, straightforward eye contact, he's used it. Clarity is there, comfort is there. And the time very well used, 7 minutes, 34 seconds. Each and every second it plays very well. Only with that, adding few points, I would like to ask him to areas of little bit of improvements. One is vocal variety. The speed is excellent in vocal variety. Only the tone and volume you could tune little bit. That will make you excellent in using your vocal variety part of it. And using little bit, hold the speech, give a pause, wait, don't deliver anything. That pause creates a lot of interest in the speech. The interest will be taken care by that particular small change. And one more important thing, to engage audience, some kind of rhetorical questions. You could use that to deliver the speech so that you can engage the audience better. With that, overall, it is an excellent speech, gestures, using the stage, eye contact, clarity, and comfort. Just by making small changes like adding little pauses here and there, a vocal variety, minor changes, and few questions, rhetorical questions, you can deliver your speech way beyond what you could deliver. Today, I really learned something from you from the point of using gestures and stage usage. Thank you. Back to you, Toastmaster.
Thank you, Toastmaster Gangadhar. Thank you to all the evaluators who give their evaluation for DTM Praskya. Next, our second speaker for tonight was Toastmaster Sushma Anil Kumar. And to start up with her panel evaluators, DTM Hisham Jeffrey will be evaluating her on objectives. DTM Hisham.
Thank you very much, Mr. Toastmaster of the Day, DTM Jani. And as I mentioned earlier, this was one very, very interesting speech. I want to reiterate on the objectives, and the objective was a speech about cultures which you most closely identify, the personal impact of the stereotype commonly associated with that cross-section. Spend some time researching on that particular culture, especially if you are part of that dominant particular culture. Now, these are tricky objectives, and the speaker, Toastmaster Sushma, met them all very elegantly and very, very well. And I'm really happy to say that she had gone into depth to understand that particular specific objective. And then she came back with a very creative method of delivering the speech using this 4-point model in terms of personality, the domesticity, occupation, and physical appearance. Very, very well done. And that is a memorable way of putting your spin on that cultural stereotype, saying how it impacts you, and then putting it to meet the objectives. The second one, I really like how you bought that bonus point. You said, I have 4, but I'm giving you the 5th, which was the emotions. Now that shows the personal impact of it, which was one very critical part of the project objectives, to show how that stereotype impacted you, and you brought that out quite well. My favorite 2 parts of how you met the objective of the speech was when you spoke about the broader cross-section of Indian girl orphans being dumped, and also when you spoke about something that relates to us, which was male speakers making jokes about their spouses. Now that was crafted very well. It did not come across as offensive at all, but it came across as a hammer of fact that drove home the value of what you were saying in the broad spectrum of the objective of the speech. This is not an easy objective to meet, but I'm very happy to say, but by crafting this speech so well, and in the use of all these different aspects of emotion, of the 4-point model, and the 2 stories about Toastmasters and of India, you really achieved the speech objectives. The only recommendation I could have is to add a little bit more with regard to the personal impact that it had on you. Wonderfully well done. I was privileged to hear it. Back to you, Mr. T.M. Modi.
Thank you, DTM Hisham Jeffrey. Now to evaluate Toastmaster Sushma's speech on content, Toastmaster Gangadhar. Correct? Toastmaster Gangadhar, can you give your evaluation on content?
Thank you, Toastmaster of the Day. Once again, a very good evening to you all. The speech, the content, always we look for something to connect in the beginning of the speech. The content includes a beautiful quote. It's not easy to be stranded between 2 worlds. Immediately it gets and grabbed attention of audience, which 2 worlds we are talking about. And immediately followed by that, as a structure of the content, what is written in that, a beautiful 2 questions to audience. How many of you are having a girl and boy child? Immediately everybody started looking at the screen, answering immediately responding to that. That is very well connected. And the second question is, are you treating them equally? So that's the 2 beautiful rhetoric questions which is mentioned as a part of the content. And immediately after that, the most important 2 words used by our Toastmaster speaker Sushma is unequal and unfair. Okay, that was very powerful words, which is going to drive the rest of the content within the speech. Immediately, it is followed how she is going to explain those words with example stories. We were all eagerly waiting. After that, there was immediately explaining the stereotypes, the 4 types of stereotypes, particularly the personality, domestic behavior, and occupation and physical. All these are very much practical in the world. The speaker has written the content so well after doing a research on the subject itself, on overall stereotypes in practice. So I can say that that was very well done, written. And at the end, she needs to connect to write a content about her own culture, where she's connected dominantly, like she brought up the India's context and what is happening in that market. Again, very well researched what is happening, particularly abuse, domestic violence, and other differences, what is there. Only the part with all this thing is the speech is about always we'd like to see how, as a speaker, as a person, you have been affected by any of this thing or any personal stories related through this. Either it could be a story which you impacted, or a story which is inspired you as well with this particular context. Any of those stories could have helped us a lot to connect to the speech, the concept very well. Generally, there could be some kind of even a woman's success stories could have been brought, not necessarily the whole negative concept of women and men. It could be a success stories which could motivate the women as a part of gender equality. With that, a speech very well delivered. I'm completely participating since I have a girl and child. I was able to relate to the whole concept, and I'm very well taken the message from the speech without giving any message, even as closing message. Well-researched subject, with content written with few personal stories. The speech, the content can be take her speech to the next level. Thank you. Back to you, Toastmaster today.
Thank you, Toastmaster Gangadhar. And finally, now to evaluate on the delivery, please welcome Toastmaster Abdurrahim Hassan.
DTM Jahangir, my dear fellow Toastmasters, ladies and gentlemen, Sushma ji, the speaker in particular. Well, as far as delivery is concerned, Sushma ji, what I can appreciate is quite a few things. You had a very beautiful stage or the speaking area, which was very clear. Your audio quality was excellent. Your video quality was superb. And you had a very nice posture. And when the speech began, you had a beautiful smile. As the Toastmaster evaluator said, you had a very beautiful rhetorical question to ask the audience, which made very interactive. All this was, and a very smooth, flawless delivery. However, Sushma ji, I have few suggestions as far as delivery is concerned. Well, in this speech where you spoke about men and women, masculine and feminine, there was a lot of scope for you to make movement, purposeful movement. For example, when you talk about man, you move to the right or left. And when you talk about the women, you move to the other. So purposeful, determined movements could have been executed in this narrative. Second thing, your gestures, which is your hand gestures, were throughout the speech were quite stereotyped. It was just like this, clamping your hands. So you could probably have more diverse or more variety of gestures based on what you're saying, because you're saying stories, your ideas, you have so many ideologies. So depending on that, your gestures could have been different rather than being monotonous. Number 3 suggestion is, Sushma ji, you had your voice modulation was practically non-existent in the whole narrative. Of course, this particular speech, I don't think it has too much of scope for voice modulation, but at least there were some areas where you could have exercised voice modulation or vocal variety to maximize the effectiveness of the speech. For example, you said, I can't remember exactly the number, 3 billion, ladies and gentlemen, 3 billion babies in this age of education and technology and modernism. We have 3 billion babies being aborted in a very understated, low-key tone to give that effect to the. And then again, there was not much pauses. Again, when you say this 3 billion babies aborted in this age, ladies and gentlemen, and then you give a pause for 4 to 5 seconds. Because what you say is important, but at the same time, what you don't say is also equally important. The pauses, well-timed pauses, as they say in music, happens between notes. So speech sometimes happens between pauses. And then again, my 5th suggestion for you is there was lack of humor. There wasn't much scope again for humor, but probably you could have had some pinch of salt, like adding a pinch of salt, you add pinch of humor. For example, you mentioned, as Hisham said, making fun of male Toastmasters, making fun of their wives, which is, I don't encourage that. Now our humorous speech contest is coming up. Please, fellow Toastmaster, don't make fun of your wives, and with a smile. And this is a warning to you. So that could be a humor, All the while, great speech. I enjoyed it. And over to you, DTM Jahangir.
Thank you, Toastmaster Abdurrahim, Toastmaster Gangadhar, and Dismissed Toastmaster Hisham Jifri for your evaluations. we are done with the evaluations as well. Can I request the timer if you can give, do we have the time? Do we have to take the time as well? Yeah, please, can we have the time taken by the panel evaluators, please? Toastmaster Aziza.
Good evening again. About first evaluator, Toastmaster Abdul Rahim, 2 minutes and 58 seconds. Toastmaster Hisham Jeffrey, 2 minutes and 35 seconds. Toastmaster Gangat, 3 minutes and 8 seconds. For evaluator for Toastmaster Soshma speech, first Toastmaster Hisham, 2 minutes and 25 seconds. Toastmaster Ganga, 3 minutes and 25 seconds. Toastmaster Abdul Rahim, 3 minutes and 20 seconds. Back to you, Master of Ceremony.
Thank you, Toastmaster Aziza. Now, can we quickly have the report from our language evaluator, DTM Kuram Salman?
Thank you, Master of Ceremonies. In the interest of time, I'd like to keep it very, very simple instead of going by speaker. I would just like to mention the power of threes, as mentioned, is a very, very powerful tool. There were many missed opportunities throughout as well, and our speakers could have utilized that. And the perfect example for this is our DTM Hisham, who loves to use it. So whenever he is using it, kindly take inspiration for that and try to use it as well. The emphasis on certain points when you're trying to emphasize on a point makes it very, very important. That's how people know that what you're saying is important. So make sure that if there is something that you want to emphasize on, you emphasize on it. See what I did there? So then we've got use of anecdotes. Kindly make sure that you're using as many anecdotes as recall. For example, Sushma used something called paradoxical, tattered pages. These were some things that, you know, tell a whole story behind not just what they're saying, but the backstory to it as well. Overall, the usage was simple, to the point. I believe if you use the power of threes and we emphasize on the right ways and we have more usage of anecdotes, we will have a better usage of language throughout. And remember, quotes are powerful. Try to use them as much as possible. Back to you, MC.
Thank you, distinguished Toastmaster Kuram Salman. With that, I believe my job comes to an end, and I need to give control back to the Mr. President. I'm sorry we are a bit over time, but still, it was a wonderful meeting. Back to you,
Thank you very much.
President.
Thank you very much, distinguished Toastmaster Jahan. Ladies and gentlemen, big hand for our TMOD. Fabulously well handled with the traditional charm and elegance that we are all so used to seeing and enjoying as well. So I believe the voting link has now been circulated. Let's give them a couple of minutes for the voting to be done. So that brings us to the end of today's meeting. DTM Kuram, you had mentioned something regarding audience feedback. Yes, there is also an audience feedback form, ladies and gentlemen. We would really appreciate if you would take the time to fill in that audience evaluation form. It's in the chat box right now. So that really helps us to take a high quality meeting to even further and further heights. I especially want to thank the two doctors who are joining us from their clinic, and that is really service above self and commitment to quality as well. So while the voting link is being circulated, let me also thank the remainder of the participants, especially those who took the roles in the very last minute. I really appreciate it. And we do have 3 big events coming up, and in the coming days, you will see more with regard to it. So in line with the event that we had DTM Mohamed Shukri, in line with the event where we had DTM Benedict Price, we will be having a few more lined up. And as usual, it would be on a Thursday evening so that it does not conflict with our regular meeting as well. So your executive committee is working behind the scenes very hard in order to present and bring to you events that are unlike any other. So thank you very much for a wonderful meeting. Let me ask our Sergeant at Arms, Madam Sushma, are we good to go with the results? Are the certificates ready? If you are
Yes.
ready,
Yes.
fabulous.
So shall I end the
Fantastic.
poll?
Yes, please. DTM
We also have
Jani,
DTM
you have a
Jahangir.
question, sir. DTM Jahangir, you have your hand up. I believe you have a question.
Shall I share the results? Or I'll send it to you?
If you will
Just
share
quick.
the certificates, then I can mention it.
Okay.
Jahangir, you're on mute if you were speaking.
I like the fact that when one of our speakers said, how many of you are parents? He was like,
Yes, hello.
yes, DTM Jani, the floor is yours. Sir.
Quickly, I know we are late, but I forgot to acknowledge, but I would like to highlight over here. Thank you to Bahrain Distinguished Toastmasters Club. Once again, in our district event, we had a presenter from our club. Distinguished Toastmaster Khurram Salman was the presenter for parliamentary procedure, and he did made us proud by presenting such a wonderful session. So thank you, DTM Khurram Salman. Inshallah, the offer which was given by BDTM, it has been considered in all the events, and we'll make sure that going forward, we will be considering as well for the events. Thank you.
That's really heartening to note, and big kudos to DTM Jani, DTM Mona, and also DTM Khurram Salman, really leading the way with regard to these educational events as well. Phenomenally well done. Madam Sushma, shall we share the
Yes.
screen?
1 second.
Meanwhile, can I share the guest feedback? So this gives Sushma 2 minutes to make that
Yes,
done.
please, of course.
Perfect. I'd just like to share the screen. Thank you to DTM Naga, Toastmaster Naga, soon to be DTM. Naga just become a DTM already. So to have this done, and he's the one who created the form. We really appreciate him being here and him doing all these amazing, wonderful things. The whole idea for us to have a general evaluation was to have from all of us instead of having one. Kindly, I've shared the link in the group. Kindly make sure that you're going through it. There's a segment that you'd like, segment that you may not have enjoyed all that much. So this gives us the idea to focus on the things that we need to focus on, and you can overall rate the meeting as well. Kindly do take time and look into this. We will be having a look at it at our XCOM meeting every month when we meet, so that we know our areas of improvement. Thank you, and back to you, President. I believe our president is on a call with our Sergeant at Arms to have this done. Meanwhile, I will try and take over for just a minute while they sort their things out. We have one guest with us, Gangadhar, who is very gracious enough to share his time with us and give in his evaluation as well. Gangadhar, any feedback as a guest coming in, anything you'd like to share?
Yeah, I definitely enjoyed today's session, particularly the roles given to me, evaluating two speeches in a different ways, content-wise and delivery-wise. That was definitely a learning for me. Yeah, so definitely all the guests should attend these kind of DTM clubs and learn the procedures, different level altogether. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I would like to be part of these meetings again every time. Thank you, Beck.
Thank you, Gangadhar. We really appreciate that. Mr. President, are you good to take over? I'm just taking guest feedback.
Yes, DTM Khurram, we are good to go. And thank you so much for those valuable comments. And it really adds that it adds to the fact that we are furthering the vision that DTM Khalid Jalal had with regard to this club, a DTM club with a difference. And we want to do the same spark of creativity, but always on the foundation of tradition. So it's really heartening to see this and hear these guest feedback as well. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let us hear who the winners of today's meeting and roles are. Madam Sushma, if you are ready, let's go with the best table topics commentator for today. Spence, while the certificate is shared. Take your time, ma'am. And the best table topics commentator for today is
Drum rolls. More drum
I know
rolls.
we're hungry. I know we're hungry, but we're almost there. So let's get the drum rolls in. It's like, Sushma, are you sure? If you share the screen, we can't see it.
It's taking time. We can announce and share the results into the group if it's an internet issue.
It is our resident table topics champion, DTM, Dr. Babu Ramachandran.
From the car.
From the car. For best
Imagine he did this while driving, what he can do when he would have been attending.
Oh, exactly.
I'm honored to be a member of this club.
Thank you, sir.
Honor to have you, Doctor, always.
Mr. Babu,
And
50-50, huh? I give you the chance.
Yeah, that's true. Thank you.
So I push you, huh? See?
Yeah, that's right.
Let's go to the
I
best
just finished-
evaluator.
There was
Can you
another
hear
event
me?
I had to attend. I just finished that event, just jumped into the car and switched on the thing.
You did really well, Doctor. Let's go on to the best evaluator. And the best evaluator today, there is a tie.
Can
It
you
is
hear me?
Toastmaster Abdul Rahim and
Yes,
myself.
Sushma, we can hear you.
Toastmaster Sushma. We can
Okay,
hear you, but we can't see your certificate.
Yeah, I think my screen is getting jammed.
That's fine. No problem at all.
That's okay. We're just announcing. We'll
But
present
make sure that your
certificates in the
camera
group.
is on for this next announcement because this is an important one. The best speaker for today, Toastmaster Sushma Anil Kumar.
Wow, wow.
Go, Sushma.
Congratulations.
Truly an example of how project
We miss
objectives
her.
can
We
be
miss
achieved.
her gesture, no? She cannot
Yes?
open the camera.
No need to be shy
No,
now.
I can't
Everything's
open
been
the
done.
camera.
Yeah,
I'm
now
using
it's
the-
okay.
And now we can see you. We can see
Yeah,
you.
but I can't share the screen. My computer has got jammed. I'm using
That's
another.
perfectly okay. That's perfectly okay.
Technical
Ladies and gentlemen,
difficulties.
that brings us to the end of today's meeting. Let us adjourn the meeting and then have a social chat. Meeting number 12.
Did
is
we
here.
President,
announce the best
did we announce the
evaluator?
evaluators?
Yes, we did.
Yes,
Yeah.
No.
It's a tie. Tie between
it's a
Okay,
tie
Ibrahim
between.
and myself.
Uh-uh.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening to you. Meeting number 12 is hereby adjourned.
Take care, everybody. Good night.
Thank you.
Sleep well.
Good night,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
Don't forget
Take
to
care.
stop the
Bye-bye.
record.
Good night. Good
Stop
night.
the record. The record.
Stop the recording.